the shadows of this quiet
So
town.
one of the things I love about living out west, along the Oregon Trail, the Overland Trails, the California Trail, is the ability to visit some of the famous spots along the road. Many of you guys ask, why we call ourselves 11th OVC, because obviously Ohio is not in the west. The reason we do is because 11th Ohio was stationed, like I've said in a lot of videos, stationed out west on the Oregon Trail to keep the telegraph lines open. And one of the things, again, I'm jealous of those who live back east in Virginia, Pennsylvania. You can visit so many battlefields so easy, but I do understand that I have it easy too in some respects. I'm going to pick up my son from activity he was doing, and I decided to, on the way by, stop at the infamous Independence Rock. So let's go ahead, let's show you some interesting aspects of Independence Rock, and more specifically, what I love about this about a 15-mile stretch of the Oregon Trail. You have three of the most prominent, or arguably, one of the more prominent positions along the Oregon Trail that you'll see here in a little bit.
But never learn to rise above these crowds, stuck in the dust of the life that you found, with nowhere to go, no higher ground.
Now, when you guys visit Independence Rock, one thing to keep in mind that you can do is when people see it, they just, walk on these trails, they walk on these paths, and, just see it from the base. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that's not where all the cool stuff is. Now, when we say visit Independence Rock, or at least when I say visit Independence Rock, I mean visit it, as in climb it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go up there and find a couple of my favorite inscriptions. So about halfway up, as you can see, definitely out of breath, kind of embarrassed. Halfway up and I'm already breathing pretty hard. But what you see up here is completely different than what you see down below, down there. Already, I've passed a few inscriptions. Here's one right here. I don't know if you can see that. There's already inscriptions. There's an inscription over there. There's an inscription right over there. But that's what getting up, climbing the rock can get you, things that you will never see there at the bottom. So let's continue on and see if I can climb it without slipping down. Note to self, I should have thought about this because I'm wearing cowboy boots with slick soles that, as you can see, are not very tread worthy. So let's see what happens here. Let's go. All right, so when you get up on top, one of the things you will notice, and now this is all within just feet of each other. Obviously, in 1940, there was this stand erected as a flagpole to commemorate the location, dedicated by Mr. Werner in May of 1940. And then right over here, just a few feet, you have, a inscription by, looks like an L.S. Bradway, obviously in 18 something. And then you have a lot of graffiti up here, just a few inches over here. We have Dan in 1950 and Lance in 1972. So obviously there are some inscriptions that you need to be aware of that are definitely not from the 1800s, from the Oregon Trail times, or even the Civil War days. You have 1891 up here, and it just keeps going. I mean, this entire area by this is inscribed. Obviously, we have 1969. And then you have other inscriptions from the 1800s. But let's go to some of my favorite inscriptions. All right, so we're at one of my favorite inscriptions. And this inscription, I'll show you here in a second. This inscription is right here on the top of Independence Rock. And what it is it is a inscription of Mr. David Stout from the 6th Ohio, later the 11th Ohio Volunteer Cavalry. David was actually enlisted in Company A of the 11th OVC, well then the 6th OVC, and came out here along the Oregon Trail out west. And right here where his inscription is, he stood right here. Here's the scenery that he was doing patrols in 1862 out here along the overland trails, and sat right here and inscribed this inscription. And what it says is D Stout, 6th OVC, Company A. There in a little sign. And right over here, it has 1862, which is exactly the summer, the year that they came out here originally. They stayed from 1862, and at least the first 4 companies mustered out in 1865 toward the beginning of the summer there. And again, like you would never see this if you just stayed on the trails on the base. You would never see these inscriptions. Again, they're all over the top of Independence Rock right here. Both graffiti from the 1900s and the originals from the 1830s, 1840s, 1850s, and of course the 11th OVC in the 1860s. There's other 1890s up here as well. But it's amazing what you can find up here. So one thing I do want to add to this location is that those of you who went through, grade school history class, and you remember learning about the Oregon Trail, is that there were certain landmarks along the Oregon Trail. We have obviously Independence, Missouri, which is the start of the Oregon Trail. You have Chimney Rock and Scotts Bluff, and then you have you may have also heard of Independence Rock. You have Devil's Gate, you have Split Rock, and then you have, continuing on to Idaho, some other locations. So one of the things that's awesome is that within eyesight of Independence Rock, especially standing on the top of it, you can see 3 distinct landmarks, which are, right there, which are Split Rock, where am I here? Split Rock and Devil's Gate. There. So with that, let's go ahead and we're going to drive along the original Oregon Trail, which now is Highway 220, Wyoming State Highway 220, and let's go see Devil's Gate, which is right behind me.
You're earthbound. You're earthbound.
And right there is Devil's Gate, just a few miles after Independence Rock. In fact, if you look past there, you can see the highway leading to Independence Rock. All right, so with Devil's Gate behind me, like I said in the previous location up on top of Independence Rock, I can just turn 180 degrees back to the west. Oh, there we go. There we go, man. You barely can see it here. And you can see Split Rock right behind me. So as we're traveling, going back to my vehicle from Devil's Gate, one thing that always amazes me is that the original Oregon Trail, the navigation, plotting the actual overland trails was so good back then that even today, the main highway behind me, that you guys can see right there, is the main highway from in this part of the state that goes from town to town to town, and it literally is the Oregon Trail. There's some branches that cut off to the south, a little bit to the north sometimes. When we get to Sweetwater Station, which is west of here, they have a decision to take a cutoff or not. But the highway system today, pretty much still, after all the engineering that we have today, still is the best route from the east to the west in at least the Wyoming area. So I find that kind of interesting as well. All right, so here we are at Split Rock, and you can definitely hear the wonderful Wyoming wind. Basically from September to June, it blows minimum, like this, 15, 20 mile an hour. It goes from there. But where we are is just right back over there is Devil's Gate, and then beyond that, Independence Rock, where we started from. And here we are, the last visible landmark in this short distance is Split Rock. Split Rock was a very visible spot along the Oregon Trail, and you could see it coming for a few days, and then after they passed Split Rock, they could see it for another 2 days of them traveling west. And beyond just being along the Oregon Trail, Split Rock was actually, at the base of Split Rock, was actually a exchange station for the Pony Express. The Pony Express had a station just right behind me here that along the short 18-month history of the Pony Express, they would do an exchange right here behind me and then continue going to the west. So again, just so much here, so much history along the Oregon Trail, all within just a few dozen miles of each other. So welcome to the West, and imagine being an immigrant and continuing west along the Oregon Trail. So with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and just get out there, touch history, learn everything you can. And this is obviously a thing for me where I get kind of jealous of you guys who live back east, who can visit battlefields from the Civil War so easy. I have to travel for 3 days just to get there, or fly. But I also forget sometimes that I live in the heart of the Wild West. So both from mountain man history all the way to the end of the Indian Wars and beyond. So with that, guys, appreciate you watching. Until next time, of course, ride hard.
Beneath the shadows of this quiet town, I see you there, your feathers on the ground. Your eyes are heavy with the weight of the
See
world.
if I can do this right.
What's in the
No. Oh, no. Right there. Okay, yeah, right there.
You can take a chance and try once more. Don't let your worries weigh you down, down, down. You can still take flight, although you're earthbound.